Good evening and welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside the show while it is live, and if you would like to join the debate with the page you are currently watching on mute, simply click on the link below this video to join the debate and express your views on the shape of the Earth. There are only a couple of rules in the Hangout. Number one, please do not swear. If you do, you will be ejected. If you are ejected, however, you will be warmly welcomed back on the next show, so please don't try to rejoin using sock accounts. If you're currently in the live audience, please share the show on social media. I'm going to transition across to my photographs and do the same. Once more, if you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. I've just finished sharing the show on Facebook, Skype and Twitter. Once more, if you are currently in the live audience, please do the same. Please share the show on social media. I'll run through my links and then I'll do a few shout outs to the people who are currently in the live chat. So if you are new to this channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon so you can keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside the show while it is live. And if you would like to join the debate, most importantly, there is a link in the info box below this video. Simply click on mute on the page you are currently listening to me on, and then click that link below this video to join the debate and express your views on the shape of the Earth. There are only a couple of rules in the Hangout. Number one, please do not swear. If you do, you will be ejected, and if you are, you will be warmly welcomed back on the next stream, so please do not try to rejoin the show using sock accounts. With that, I'll say once more, please share the show on social media, and I'll do a few chat shout-outs. So let's see. Dangerous D, keen to express the fact that he was indeed first. Good for you. Thanks for being here. Flat World Takeover, thank you very much for joining us. Pleased to have you in our chat. The Rig says, yo to you too, The Rig. Pleased to have you here. Hank Hill, sup y'all, says Hank Hill. Sky, moon, stars, all of those things, Hank. They are all up. Good to have you here. Nichio Snows, pleased to have you in our chat. Thanks for being here. Raised by Gypsies says good afternoon. Well, good evening for me, Gypsies, but good afternoon to you. Thank you for being here. Arwin, very pleased to have you here. Who's on this morning? Did very well. Physics Warrior, regular guest. Very pleased to have you here. Ninja Man, nice to see you. Flat Earth Underground, thanks for being in our chat. Nice to have you here. I think that's probably about it. Jim B sneaked in at the end. Good to see you. Oh, and Issa Mahalski, another debater. Good to see you, Issa. Oh, there's a few more rolling in. Twitwit, thanks for being here. No more chatters so I can get off camera. I think that's probably about it. Oh no, one more. Agent Detective. Very pleased to have you here, Agent Detective. Please all share the show on social media. You may hear from me one more time just to run through exactly the same thing and dish out my links. But yes, if not, you'll hear me to introduce our first guest. Lee Hedges, good to see you. Thanks for being here. If one of you in the chat could just check the link actually works, I'd be very grateful. Just click on it, join. You don't have to say anything, just scratch your mic, make sure I can hear it. Thanks a million in advance. I've just updated the link. I have had this issue once before where it just doesn't update and we end up with the old Hangout link, so I have just changed it. Every time I refresh the page that is the live Hangout control room, it tends to crash the Hangout. We'll see if that happens. Tense moments. Nope, it's worked. But it's wiped the link. There you go. Let's just try once more. Changes are being saved. All saved. Let's see. Right, once more, if somebody from the chat could just check that the link works, I'd be very grateful. Hopefully it has all updated. I will stick it in the chat feed as well. So it's there. Testing, testing.
Hello, Nathan.
Hello, Arwin. How are you doing?
Yeah, doing okay.
Thanks for checking if it works. Feel free to stay and explain your position in regards to the shape of the Earth. This is probably the best opportunity to do so, as no one's here.
Yeah, not for long. When I join, it gets filled up pretty quickly usually. I guess I trigger them. But yeah, well, these days I tend to just approach flat Earth and the globe and the rectangular looping model that I'm personally very interested in. I tend to just approach them as concepts, as models, as an attempt to create a world around us in our minds, just that make the one that makes the most sense, and figure out as we go, and try to connect with as many people as I can to just see what they come up with, because that's the only way I can, yeah, can reach beyond my own personal thinking. And it's how I learn the most, just from how other people respond. Sometimes they don't even understand, just a spontaneous idea that gets into their heads can be such a solution to a problem that I couldn't figure out myself. So uh, I like I've I've decided to approach these debate hangouts differently, and I'm not gonna, like, as a default, try to win flat Earth because, well, uh, I've been in Hangouts for over a year now, and I pretty much figure out that most Globers, they just don't want to be convinced, no matter what. So I'd rather just try to work on getting misconceptions and uh, just misunderstandings out of the way on both sides. On the globe sides, Globers make a lot of mistakes and assumptions, but flat earthers sometimes also, like, jump to conclusions because it's convenient. They don't want to get over all of it again, that type of thing. So that's what I'm gonna try to do as much as possible. But yeah, if I'd had to choose, I'd say the Earth is rectangular looping and flat. And there may be spatial anomalies in the sense that how the flat Earth interconnects with itself, uh, yeah, it's not the same everywhere. There may be locations on the Earth where space is more dense and more land fits in that location. And that is one of the things that could explain how everything is flat and level, yet it's almost impossible to fit all these continents in a literal map. It doesn't seem to be possible. There's no map like that out there. It's all projections, all with complications. So, yeah, that is my theoretical solution, which makes things a lot more complex. Space is not linear as we would like it to be. So,
Check it out, man. You got to monologue without anyone interrupting you. Maybe you can move on to a different point.
yeah, I guess, yeah, it's nice. Uh, Also, a thing, I guess, to explain a basic setup for how the entire confines of the world works in a flat Earth looping model. It's basically a continuing square of land that interconnects on each side, which, if you would take it into account that it is in this dimension just flat, but you could, like, extra dimensionally imagine that it's like a piece of paper that you that just fold around in a in like a ring, and it interconnects that way. And though there it's physically flat, that is how it interconnects. Or you can imagine the monitor and games that when you move off the right, you enter the left. That's also a way to visualize how that works. But technically, it comes down to a limited, confined space. Ah, I see Tim just entered and left. Anyway, yeah, once a looping element is introduced into a cosmogonical setup, then uh, you got a container. You got a self-contained space that is contained by the dimensional confines, and that would keep up the air pressure and eliminate the necessity of a dome to keep up the pressure in a flat world. But also, yeah, Globers like to discard that using gravity, saying that it's round and it's all being attracted. And if you go high up enough, the gravity goes away and there's outer space there and vacuum. But that's a very flimsy, fantastical setup. That it's just you can. It's easy to imagine, but it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't work out in practicality. It doesn't work out with experimentations, all that stuff. Physics just disproves that that is possible in many accounts. But yeah, that's scientism for you. It's only remembered when it's convenient. And that's pretty much it.
Been joined by Hank Hill. Very pleased to have you here, Hank.
Thanks for having me on.
Pleasure to see you.
Hello. So, hey Hank, what do you think? What is your baseline when it comes to how the world is?
But to tell you the truth, I don't think it's possible to know.
You don't think it's possible to know? Or you think it is possible?
I don't think it's possible to know.
And why is that?
Well, I'm too small, and the Earth is too big. It's like me asking you, what do you think is at the outer edges of the universe? Or what do you know about the outer edges of the universe? Or
Well,
in my case, it would be creation. What is at the edge of creation? Do you know?
the edge of creation?
Yeah.
Well, if it's looping, there doesn't need to be an edge. The edge is the loop itself.
Right, but I'm asking you, how do you know, or what knowledge do you have of the unknown?
Well, what we observe and everything we figured out. Like, the more you know, the more you exclude certain options because it doesn't fit anymore into all the knowledge that you gather. That's how you figure things out. That's how incredible inventions are made, like high energy stuff. It's basically figuring out what works and then filling the spaces in between because you can exclude so many possibilities. That's how real complex physics works. Reality just works according to a pattern, and the more you learn, the more you figure out what this pattern is and how things tend to structure. It's oversight. So I think it is possible to know. I just think it's extremely hard to figure out, and there are many psychological complications and many cultural complications that make it very hard for us to proceed every single step because we got demotivation and fears and all kinds of elements that interrupt us every step of the way. Every new step you take, you go deeper, another obstacle usually swings swings at you and you're like, oh my god, what? No, not again. You know? It's basically losing one's marbles one at a time. And a good example for that would be, well, first you believe the Earth is a globe and everything, and then those that are susceptible to digging into flat Earth, that are not fanatical about attaching to a globe, they will figure out, wait, it's not a globe, and that's the first marble you lose. Then, well, you get into heavenly literalism. You try to replace the heliocentric concept with globes out there, stars and the sun and the moon, with the sun and the moon being globes within our dome thing, but they're still globes. Then I introduced the holographic skies model, and then basically those globes are also taken away. That's more marbles you lose. It's another obstacle. Many people have a lot of trouble with this. They will fiercely reason against why that would be the case. A lot of trouble understanding the holographic nature of the heavenly bodies and how to figure that out. I try to explain it every time, but people just they can't. Some can't take it, I guess. But again, that's losing marbles, and there are more marbles to lose out there. Although these are the, well, but best compared to marbles because it's basically globes. People love globes. I love marbles. I love globes. I love crystal globes. it's interesting, especially like metallic reflective globes. I love those things. It's just I love it. I can't help it. It's because I'm human. I was designed that way to love globes. As do I love well-shaped breasts. You know, it's also part of that. Why do you think most men like the globe model so much? Because men have an extra tendency to prefer, the female upper shapes, as it were.
Well, I definitely won't be losing those marbles because
Well, you could lose those, but those that also hurts when that happens. You know what that's like, probably. I do. You just got him, and then something happens, and yeah, it's goodbye to those two marbles. Anyway, uh, yeah, losing your marbles is hard. It's a big psychological obstacle. It hurts on the inside and makes you vulnerable in a way that most people are not used to be in that state and deal with the world. Makes The world makes it very difficult to be that vulnerable. So you just fight it. You stay afloat. You stay part of the system. You deny it. You deflect it, and that's what a lot of people do, and that's how they turn into globers. And in a weird, reflected way, they usually eventually find out how their psychology works. But they just say, no, I stick to this, like a belief. Because it is a belief. The globe is a religion. It's the best worked out religion mankind has ever conceived, purely based in mathematics, and it's gigantic.
you know who
It's
the
worldwide.
Messiah of the
So
religion
many
is?
people work on it. It's incredible.
The Messiah of the globe religion is Erocenes, and because we don't have his original writings, then he's no more relevant than Jesus from an atheist perspective. From a
Yeah,
Christian
that's
perspective,
a good
Jesus is
comparison.
obviously
It
Jesus is
would be
obviously way better.
interesting. We could like it like there are flat earthers out there that are historically interested in things and they're kind of bored. You could just get together and try to really put down the entire globe religion and try to show it how it's structured. And it's probably very much like Catholic Christianity in a sense, and how the scientists work on it, what their function really is, all that stuff. You could make an oversight in how this religion functions and how each person is kept in the dark, as it were, to the ultimate truth. Could be, yeah, if you're good at making movies, that would be a very interesting movie to make. So,
I'm not good at making movies, although um, I'm really good at coming up with ideas, and sometimes my rhetoric is sharp.
well,
Been
I love to
joined
come up
by
with
Tim
ideas.
Osman.
Do it all
Pleased
the
to have you
time.
here.
Howdy.
Good to
Hey,
have you here.
Tim.
Hey, Arwen, I just wanted to say, man, I guess I heard you earlier say that none of these, soundly or these pictures of what globers would call curvature match up with the actual curve. It just makes me wonder, have you actually done the mathematics on that or modeled it or done anything? Or is it just
I've
kind of like you don't
seen
think so?
plenty of hangouts treating that and showing it like this is the curve, this is how much. There, I didn't save them
Like
on my
what?
computer, if you want to know. So I don't know if they're still up. I know that Antonio did some stuff about that. Was very convincing at the time. Other flat, so many people worked on this. So yeah, I got demonstrated. And what I have seen in the field and from footage is that there's just a lot of variety to the virtual curvature. And that shouldn't be. It should always be exactly the same if the Earth is a globe of a
Okay, so
certain
with that
size.
assertion right there, let's go ahead and break that down because I did hear you talking about atmospheric conditions earlier. So on the spherical model,
Mhm.
is there no atmospheric conditions?
Well, apparently not,
I don't
because
even
that wouldn't work
I don't
out.
know what
Then it would show even more apparent curvature. If it if it was a physical, literal globe that we were on, then these optical effects would be even worse.
We've been joined
Even
by
worse than
Epistemology for Truth. Very pleased to have you here.
Hey guys.
Hello.
Even worse than what? What are you comparing to here?
Well, to what we're seeing in the field right now.
So you're
Because
saying that
these
atmospheric
optics-
conditions on the sphere should be more so than what?
There should be more curvature seen, a lot more.
You said earlier that it's too much curvature.
What are you talking about?
Like Soundly's video, his series of videos and imagery and stuff like that. Other people, aren't you saying that it would be a bigger globe if it was a globe?
Yeah, probably from what I've seen, because yeah, there's too much footage of just seeing very, very far, and that shouldn't be possible. So if
Okay,
it is
so-
a literal globe, then it's a freaking huge one and much, much bigger than science, accepted science is assuming at this moment.
I just want to say that you basically have your own conception of what flat Earth means to you, and
Yes.
it really has gone off the rails on what flat Earth used to be. None of which you can justify in any manner at all. It's really just your musings, your dreams that you kind of think up and then just say as if it's fact, as if you've proven it. But I've never seen you do anything to prove any of these claims.
That's yeah, you're trying to mind twist me. It's a non-statement.
Hey, I think we're
How is
getting
that a
an echo.
non-statement?
I think we're getting an echo here from someone.
Shouldn't be me. I don't hear an echo.
I'm muted.
I got headphones.
Sounds good here.
Yeah. So Arwen, you have figured it out to yourself, I guess, or you're still searching.
I'm
But
still
like I
in the
said,
works of figuring it out.
you have your own theory on you. Basically, you are a theoretical physicist, basically, or astrophysicist.
Yeah,
Where you
well,
you take
astrophysics
the
is an emphasis in an area that I avoid, but I'm a cosmogonical theorist. Yes.
okay, none of which, like I said, you can justify. You just say things, right? Just trying to make
Yeah,
this
but
clear here.
I say things in a way that try to make
sound good.
sense of
So,
things.
so Arwen, let's go through. You just said that you just went on this rant talking with Hank. You were saying, which is kind of why I hopped in here, and it's basically elaborating on what Timmy is saying. You were saying that, oh, well, to believe in the globe, it's just a belief, and that you have to have, basically faith, and that you kind of. So let's talk about the things that you have to be just willing to dismiss in order to believe in the flat Earth. You dismiss all the evidence in the sky, right? Which I heard you talking with curved water earlier, which you kind of explained away as holograms that are individual to every location. In other words, it's a projection that's individual to every person on Earth to fool them into thinking that it's a sphere, but in reality it's flat. Because clearly you kind of seem to understand that,
No,
when
I
you look
didn't
at
say that.
celestial
I
objects,
say that they are very convincing by nature to make you believe
right?
it's
Well,
a sphere.
basically you're saying
But
that
I'm
someone
not
is trying
saying
to
that
fool it,
they
right?
determine if it's a sphere or flat.
No, I understand,
doesn't
but you're
exclude it
willing
at
to
all.
you're dismissing them as being physical objects. You're saying
Yes.
they're holograms.
Absolutely.
But the moon, I mean, I can see the craters on the moon. I can see the shadows on the moon. Astronomers have seen the
Yeah,
impacts
of
on
course
the moon.
you can see those things and then assume they are craters.
Right.
It's
But
almost like
astronomers
that,
have
so I
seen
understand
impacts.
that.
Astronomers have seen impacts in real time
No,
on the moon.
I don't
Yeah,
believe
they have,
that.
actually.
They don't have footage
Yeah,
of
they
that, and
have.
it's
Yeah,
that
they
can't
have.
be.
There is footage.
Doesn't make any
actually.
And
sense.
there's documentation of it too. There's over history. There's documentation of people seeing impacts on the moon.
Yeah,
Do you see how you
The
just deny
moonscape
things
is
that go? Hold on.
You're just denying.
Do you see that you just deny things that go against your dreams, your fantasies,
No.
your desires?
Okay, so hold on. Let me just
It's
move
just
on.
not
Okay,
true.
so I gave you my little thing about that. So you're just going to deny everything about the sky and call it holograms that you have no evidence for, or how
No, I
holograms
do
can
have
work,
evidence
or how
for
you
it, and I
project a
explained it.
hologram
You
onto-
can't just say that I don't have evidence for it because I spent a lot of time actually explaining how that
Okay,
works,
well, you
how I
can
came to
explain-
that conclusion. I've
this
explained
is-
it over 3
A
times.
Gish Gallop explanation is not evidence.
Yeah. Seriously, dude.
Well, neither is
You-
all that theoretical rambling that comes out of you. It's just textual
Well, no, no, no,
references
no, no,
and
no, no,
leaning
no,
on
no,
a
no,
giant
no.
apparatus.
Listen,
Like-
our theoretical stuff that you call theoretical actually works with observable evidence empiricism,
Yeah,
right?
sure. it
Yours,
does. Yeah, you know, you
you
just say that.
hold on, dude. You just were a hypocrite because you just told me that all of your stuff is theoretical, right? So then you say, oh, you guys got theoretical stuff in textbooks. Well, you know what? At least millions of people agree on it, and it's just not just coming from a wood elf
Yeah, that
over
doesn't
in
make
wherever
it
you're
the
from.
truth. Just
Erwin,
because a million
I
people agree on it doesn't make it anything.
booked
It's
the
just
trip.
that's your choice. That's what you choose to believe. That's what it is.
But it works. But
it works for you.
May I
No,
make a
Erwin,
quote, please? May I make a quote?
Go ahead, Hank.
I would like to quote, in science, if you're off by a factor of 2 or 10, it's horrible. But in cosmology, we're off by a factor of 1 to the 120th power. That's 1 with 120 zeros behind it. Michio Kaku.
Yeah, so you know what? This is another example of people bringing up basically a scientist comes out and says something like, hey, we actually don't know this. And then you guys are like, well, see, they don't know it. Or it's like, do you want them to come out and say that we know everything? Would that be better for you?
I'm just saying that,
I don't want that
there is a
at
lot of
all.
evidence from my stance that, we don't know. That's what I was.
Well, getting back to the thing, I mean, I booked a trip to Idaho, months in advance to see the eclipse because I wanted to have a direct path overhead with the longest duration. And guess what? I went there and I saw it and I videotaped it. And that's some pretty good predictive power, right? Of this hologram, of this personal hologram, which the flat earthers haven't explained how this personal hologram system could allow you to make predictions, right? You don't have a model of how that hologram system works,
Yeah,
do you?
I do. It's called
the spherical model.
charts. That's how they predict that stuff. And the entire astronomical models of the stars and how that works is basically derived from
the
already
eclipse paths are not
charts that
derived
have
from
been around
stars.
for 1,000 years at least.
No, there's a tremendous amount of computation that goes in to predict the exact path of totality.
Yeah, but what you got to see, actually, well, what I got to see
Which
from all
requires
the
a
eclipse
human-centric
videos
model
that
modeled
I
into a
got to see
computer.
after it happened from many different people is that this moon, so-called, whatever it's supposed to be, that moves in front of it, at certain points actually comes in front of it and then leaves in another angle. Try to explain that in a physical, literal world setting, please.
What do you mean it comes in and it leaves at another angle?
Yeah, exactly what I say. The moon
No, it travels
comes
in a
over
straight line.
it and then it
traveled in a
leaves
straight
at a
line. I
90
watched
degree
it every
angle.
step of the way. It did not.
It did. I've seen many footage of this.
What are you talking about? It went in a straight line.
Yeah, it might have done that for you
you
at
watch
the
the
location that you were at, but I've seen
Show me
other
a video where
footage
it's not
that
moving in a
says
straight
something
line.
different.
Show me a video that a flat earther is
YouTube, it's been all over the place.
Show me a video. Show me a video where
Go
it
look
moves
for
in
yourself. I
zigzag
just
path
said
in
it's
and out.
all over the place.
Well, no,
Come
you
on,
made
guys.
the
No, it's
claim,
not.
so you
Hold
have to
on.
show
Yes,
the
it
evidence.
is.
You
Hold
made the
on.
claim.
Okay,
Nathan,
so
do you
made the
remember
claim.
those
You
videos
made the
that I'm
claim.
We're
referring
talking
to,
past
Nathan?
each other, gentlemen. Okay,
So he made the claim, so he has to
Nathan?
Okay, I mean, if
the
you want me to
eclipse did come in
interject, what I
from
would say
Oregon,
is
and it left it like
you've
the
got two people
Carolinas.
making claims
So it did
about.
kind of come in from the northwest and leave at the, little southern east, right?
Oh,
But
I see.
people are going to
He's
say that
talking
it's.
something different. We're talking something different because I'm talking about and then leave the sun.
Come on, don't talk over me, please. So basically, the flat earthers are going to say that, see, the moon is traveling in a circular path, and the globe earthers are going to say, no, dumbass, that's because, excuse me, pardon my French, no, it's because the earth is curved.
I don't know, but all I know is that I saw a lot of footage of the sun. People hand filmed this with just good cameras, everything, zoomed in, see the sun, a dark disk comes in front of it, and then it doesn't move over it in a straight line. It actually leaves in a different angle, and I've seen that.
All right,
So
so
I
I have my own also eclipse video, and I seem to not be able to see what you're seeing here. So
I know.
mean, it would be nice.
There's different
would-
footage of this, different types
But you
of
can't provide a
this
single
effect.
one. You can't provide a single one. It's just like the claim that you can zoom objects back over the horizon, which there's no video of either.
Sorry to interrupt. If you maybe Arwin, if you can go and dig out a footage of the eclipse path, and maybe if
Okay, I don't know if they're still around, but I'll try.
maybe if epistemology can dig out a video of impacts hitting the moon, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be nice, Arwen. That'd be nice because you are asserting that.
Yeah, anybody can Google the path of totality and see that it did kind of curve towards the south as it traveled east a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I've seen different angles, like different approaches of the disc, the black disc, not coming exactly from the side, but like from the upper right and then leaving at the lower left, or the like.
Are we talking about the eclipse that just happened over the U.S.?
I don't. Yeah, it's gonna take a lot of digging to find what I'm referring to. But
Well,
I saw this
epistemology.
Hangouts that I.
Here you go. By the way, I just linked the video of an impact on the moon, and it also they show where the crater was left behind from that impact. That's
No,
just
that
one
doesn't
video.
exist. That doesn't exist. No. So Arwen, I think that you've kind of fallen off the wagon here. You kind of gone into the land of Pete Shea and mysticism, and being a wood elf and all. I don't see that being a problem for you. But
yeah, you can get all snobby to me,
you say things as if they
are
fact.
If you want me to keep respect for you, you have to.
But really, no. You're being disrespectful to yourself because you're believing your own delusions, Arwen. Okay.
No, you're the
yes,
one that
you obviously don't understand.
Delusions.
You obviously don't understand that the spherical model works.
No, I don't understand it. No.
Does it? What is wrong with the spherical model?
I've been into that a long time. I loved it. Okay, I knew everything about it.
No. Don't say I heard you say about how men love balls earlier because of women's breasts.
That's just a psychological.
Which was really the stupidest thing I've ever heard you say. Truthfully,
yeah,
buddy.
I know you think everybody is so stupid.
No, you speak for everybody saying that. Oh yeah, men love the globe. Men love the globe because it's a ball.
Shit, dude.
You kidding me? You're speaking for everyone, okay? And that I don't love the globe at all, really. I mean, I love that we know what we're on. It's beautiful.
Because nothing matters to you as long as you're on top. You're the best. I know.
No, Arwen, you come in here and you literally have Gish Gallop. It's literally what you dreamt up last night, okay? And it's like we're trying to have actual facts. Hold on.
All of this stuff for over a year.
I was speaking.
Shut the hell up, man.
I was speaking, wasn't I? Wood Elf? High Elf? Anyway, Arwen, you're basically a crackhead with your conspiratorial bias here, okay? You need to go back to the globe and figure out what's wrong with it, because there's nothing wrong with a spherical model, okay? And then you can try to figure out how it works on your little flat earth pipe dream, okay? But saying things are holograms and saying that you've proven it doesn't prove anything to anyone but yourself. Do you understand this?
Cool. Anyway, epistemology for truth. So I've just played out your video, which you shared. Meteor slams crater 59 foot wide before and after video, and the stills show that there's a crater not there, then there's a crater there, and then the image capture shows a light. But other than the title, how do you deduce that that's something slamming into it?
I concur, because one of the things that I've been preaching since I've been on here is pay attention to what you don't see, and there's something missing. Correct. What is it? Can anybody tell me?
Well, so you're suggesting that how do we know it's a meteor?
Yeah, how do we know something physically hit? How do we know it wasn't a burp?
Correct. That's exactly what I was thinking. I watched it 2 or 3 times, and that's exactly the thought I had.
So really, this is to prove that it's a physical object in the first place. So if the moon burped, is that a hologram burp of the moon, or is it an actual physical object?
I think it's physical, Tim.
I think it's physical.
Okay, I know you do.
Amateur astronomers amateur radio people have been bouncing radio signals off the moon now for a century, right?
And they also been
can't you with a ham
ionosphere?
Can't you with a ham radio? Don't ham operators bounce it off?
Ham operators. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, ham operators. Okay. So like I said, whether it's a internal volcanic explosion, which the moon I think they're saying that there is a very small amount of activity still geologically, but it's pretty inert compared to the Earth. Yeah, okay, we could say that it's that a huge explosion. But the thing is, here when we have volcanic explosions, then we see lava flow. We see the stuff that created that pressure, right? It doesn't just leave a crater and nothing is left, right? That's not what we see on Earth with volcanoes. So it's not reasonable to think it's a volcano.
I said gas pipe,
whether it's some secret military testing a bomb on a rocket to hit it, or we can argue about that. But the point was that it's physical.
Yeah. Well, why, Hank? Do somebody shows evidence, and you obviously, well, maybe it could be a burp out of the moon or whatever. Like, why don't people just take evidence and try to disseminate it for themselves, or look for more evidence that corroborates it? I just don't understand this whole ad hoc reasoning thing just to keep this whole idea alive. I don't
Well,
get
it's
it.
just my train of thought. That's one of the things that I've been saying. Pay attention to what you don't see. Look at both sides of the coin. I mean, you've heard me say these things before, right, Tim?
I know, and really, you're not even really a flat earther. Like, it would be nice if a real flat earther would come on and not just go on and on about their gish gallop and their dreams or whatever, but actually have some evidence to provide for this, because there are people out there that are confused, that do listen to flat earth content only, and this is a place where some of them come, and it would be nice for flat earthers to be able to hop on here and pitch their convictions, because Pete Shea and people like Arwen don't help the flat earth movement. Okay, just saying things are holograms or burps out of the moon or whatever are just, it's silly, man.
Yeah,
It's silly.
Sorry, just
to add,
before you respond, I'm really sorry, epistemology. Sorry to interrupt you. Can you just say later on, you guess we've got Julius. What was the rest of it? Julius Lex. Can you
Julius,
say
how's it going, man? I know Hank.
Good to see you,
What's up,
Julius.
man?
Good to see you, brother.
What's up, bro?
Good to see you.
So just to finish real quick, if you guys Google the comet Shoemaker Jupiter hit from the 1994, the Shoemaker-Levy comet from 94, that was something that we watched along the way. Amateur astronomers, anyone that had any kind of a decent home telescope was able to watch the comet approach the planet and then impact, and then see the destruction left behind from the impact visible on the surface of Jupiter as it absorbed this massive comet impact. And so that's another example of a physical object hitting another physical object, which,
okay,
like
so
Tim said.
Let me look at both sides of the coin. Okay, so a meteor struck the moon. How did it pass Earth's gravity and then hit the moon, where the moon, is that the side of the moon that faces the Earth? Because, it would seem odd that that side of the moon would have all the craters, and the outside facing the universe, not the Earth, the dark side of the moon would have less craters. That's always been a problem for me. I don't understand that. If anybody can explain that, how most of the craters are like coming from the direction of the Earth's, escaping the Earth's gravitational pull, but falling into the moon's.
I'm not sure what you mean. There's craters all over the moon, including on the backside of the moon.
Right, but aren't most of them on the front?
No, there are craters all over the moon. I don't think that there's any more or less craters. The side that we see, we can see the craters on our side, but the photographic imagery that was taken on the backside of the moon also shows craters all over the moon.
Yeah, the whole thing is cratered.
Can we see that?
I think the moon has a real slow rotation rate. Maybe that's why it looks that way.
Yeah, it rotates once every 28 days as same speed that it revolves.
And by the way, people have this strange, or they have this view that the Earth and the moon are very close. But if the Earth was a basketball and the moon was a baseball, the moon would be 25 feet away from the basketball, or the baseball would be 25 feet away from the basketball. 25 feet. So this idea that the Earth is in the middle of the path is really not what the heliocentric model claims.
The Earth isn't, but the gravitational field would be, correct?
Yeah, but these objects are sometimes traveling 50, 60,000 miles per hour. So their path is going to be skewed by the Earth. In other words, the Earth is acting on that path, but that's not going to prevent times where that path will intersect the moon. right? In other words, a
Makes
comet might be
sense.
coming by and it'll be pulled by the Earth, but then it's going so fast it's not going to get pulled into the Earth. It'll sort of slingshot into a curveball into the moon.
That makes sense, and I retract my statement about the craters not being on the dark side.
But do we have any images of that happening?
Images of what?
What you just described in detail.
Of objects getting pulled by the moon.
You just described the trajectory and how the gravitational fields interact and the speeds. You described quite a lot of things, and I'm asking, do you have any evidence of that?
Well, like for example, the Shoemaker comet, the Shoemaker-Levy, they had predicted the orbital path that comet was going to intersect Jupiter based on these calculations. They even had a time period and a date set for when that thing would happen, so that all the astronomers, the amateur astronomers, could point their telescopes and watch the impact happen. Which is an example of exactly what I'm talking about, which is that they can use, Newton's gravitational information, that he taught us to make all these calculations.
Fair enough. I'll introduce Lewis Hackett, and then I've just got one last question. So pleased to have you here, Lewis. Can you say hello, just to check your mic works?
Thank you.
Oh, good to have you. Okay, yeah, that's reasonable. But the objection that Hank raised was that we are between the Earth and the side that is covered in craters, and then you asserted that there were craters on the other side. And again, I said, have you got an image of that? And now you're asserting something else to get around that problem. And your example of it is something that's happened on Jupiter. Do you see my issue with that?
No, I don't understand what you're saying. There's craters all over the moon, the front, the back, everywhere.
Okay.
No, he wants you to bring up epistemology. He wants you to bring up the moon transit from Lagrange point 1, I think, where flat earthers say it's completely fake and it, whatever. So, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like epic or something.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't mind what he brings up.
Where it's at Lagrange, yeah. What about that?
Well, it shows the backside of the moon that all flat earthers think is completely CGI and fake.
We've been joined by Chris.
Yeah,
Not
well,
Chris.
they-
We've been
yeah,
joined
that
by
picture's
Truth
taken from a
Seeker.
million miles.
Pleased to have you here. Sorry to interrupt your epistemology. Get my tongue around it. We're joined by Truth Seeker. Very pleased to have you here.
Good day. Thank you.
Good to see you. Sorry to interrupt.
There you go. Now there's a flat earther. There we go. Now we got a convo going. Very good.
We are also joined by Gem
By the way, I
Panda.
linked in the green chat. I linked a picture of the far side of the moon. You can see that it's completely covered in craters.
Hi, thank you.
Thanks for being here. In which chat? Because I've only got the link to the that impact, I think, epistemology. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I put it up. I put it both places. It's in the green chat for the mobile people because the mobile people can't see the side chat.
Yeah, thanks for
So
putting
Truth.
it on the phone.
Truth, what you got for us, ma'am?
I was actually going to ask you guys the same thing. One side's growing in desperation, and one side's growing in numbers. You tell me.
Well,
All right. So let me just go ahead and debunk this really quickly. There has been a sentiment throughout the flat Earth since I started 3 years ago that, oh, it's growing, it's huge, it's whatever, and really by all metrics at the moment, the topic is getting to more people. Absolutely. Mad Mike and all of these different things that have happened. Mark Sargent, the biggest show on the internet, has just gone on with Pierce Morgan. So yeah, it's definitely being perpetrated. It's being spread. Absolutely. But
Actually,
as far as the numbers go,
today that actually says that flat Earth keeps growing. The Economist just came out today.
okay. So I mean, yeah, like I said, I guess it's going to be kind of a thing that happens when it goes very, very mainstream. And most flat earthers are still waiting for it to go mainstream, even though Shaq and all these people have completely, for a while now been talking about it. So, you can think that a growing movement is some kind of an argument for its legitimacy. But I think that this really does go back to the ignorance and the conspiratorial bias of what you've done to yourself, my friend.
Well, I'll give you this. I do have a conspiratorial bias, but that's only because I've grown up in a world full of conspiracies. So I from birth, I believed everything that was told to me, just like every other child does. They have no inclination to think that a person that's supposed to take care of them would
Wrong.
ever indoctrinate them into such, deception. So it's a sad thing we all kind of have to come to in this world, is that, yeah, at some point, whether some people realize it's just Santa Claus or some people realize the globe is part of that too, there's a lot of myths in our reality.
Yeah, I agree
Louis,
with you, Truth.
can
Hold on. I
you,
agree with you, Truth. Real quick, I just want to say, yeah, I'm actually, I have a lot of conspiracies under my belt, some of which I still definitely do believe in. Now, saying
Louis,
that, it doesn't mean that the shape of the Earth is a conspiracy. I know that they have brought that into the conspiracy realm, but it doesn't mean that they were lying about it. And then if you kind of logically think about it, that all of these observations do work on a spherical model, um, and nothing really works on a flat Earth
Yeah,
model.
Occam's razor will always tell you, oh, there's no way something like this could be hidden. But as more intelligent people, uncover things about compartmentalization and how such large things can actually be divided into a handful of very few people, it's actually really easy to deceive people, especially humans who are mostly herd mentality animals.
Let's go
I was
ahead.
going to say you
Go
have
ahead,
no
Jeff.
evidence of that it's really easy to deceive people. And
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
yeah,
He's
we
got a
do.
sneaky suspicion.
hold on. I've
We have
only said
incredible
one.
amounts.
Hold
We
on,
have
I've said
incredible
one
amounts of evidence of
sentence.
that.
Let me finish, please. And you guys always sort of dismiss this idea that the conspiracy can be challenged with the word compartmentalization. But that just doesn't work. Because if you're saying that, for instance, with the space program, if you're saying that that all of the people, or the vast majority of the people involved in it, don't know it's a conspiracy, then what you've got is a load of people involved in a space program who are overcoming the engineering challenges necessary to put spacecraft into orbit. And so you then do away with the need for a
The issue
conspiracy.
is, though,
Either they
we
know
do.
either they know there's a conspiracy or they don't. And if they don't, then they're sending stuff to space, obviously.
Yes,
Yeah, and
and that's a great idea, but now we're actually starting to question them on are they actually sending stuff into space? Because these parabolic angles don't add up into space. Sorry, buddy.
Wait,
They
go
don't
ahead.
for people who don't know
Epistemology, go
anything
ahead.
about orbital mechanics, but they do for people that do, and that's the problem. You guys always speak from a position of ignorance and expect.
Well, hey, look, listen to this.
to
I'm about to go
accept what
through.
you
I'm about
say.
to go through. I'm about to go through a mountain range that a global satellite should have no problem picking up signal on. But because I'm going between two mountains, I'm about to lose signal.
Phones don't use satellites for.
Bro. See, this is the problem with flat earthers. There's so many misnomers. There's so many misconceptions. Your phone is not using a satellite.
That
Okay?
is because we have never been giving the truth of what's going on. Yeah, there's a lot of misconceptions going on because we've never been giving the true manual.
Your phone. Can you just concede that your phone does not use satellite? Can you concede that?
The GPS in my phone does. My satellite, what I'm talking over.
Yes. Are you using GPS to
talk
on
Sorry,
Hangouts
I didn't
right now?
make that. Sorry, I didn't make that declination.
Declination.
What?
Distinction
delineation.
is the word you were looking for.
Ironically, that may be the issue here: the declination of the satellite.
So my father, he worked for decades for Northrop, and they built. It was actually another company before that. But basically, his company, they built satellites for the government and for private industry, like various communication satellites and things like that. And as a kid, I got to go to the company on bring your kid to work day, and I got to watch where they're building, designing, testing. They had all sorts of rocket testing stands where basically they vibrate it, they put it through the stress of a rocket launch to make sure that the equipment will still work once it goes through that stress. But the thing is, it's such an intricate process where basically all the people, let's say you're a communication company and you need to have a satellite have all these capabilities. And so you work hand in hand with all those engineers in designing the satellite to do what you need it to do, the area it's going to cover, all this stuff. And then you go to the rocket launch provider, and that's a whole other separate aspect of the mission, who are going to deliver your payload and insert it into orbit.
It's perfect for faking things.
But wait a minute. The bottom line is all these people involved, are somehow duped into designing the satellite to have a capability, which guess what? Once it goes in orbit, it has exactly that capability. And the people on the ground that use that satellite have to point their dish at that spot in the sky in order to pick up the signal.
How can we
I'm sorry,
independently
gentlemen.
verify these signals are stemming from satellites and not high towers?
All you have
because
to
of the
do
angles.
The
just go on
guy,
Google
It's
Earth
a
and
simple
look at the
question.
angle.
I just want to know how to verify for
I can
myself.
tell
Are there
you
any
right
towers in the
verify
ocean?
I'm sorry, epistemology. I shouldn't have interrupted you.
No, it's okay. But like one of the common things that we tell people to do is go on Google Earth and look at people's satellite dishes on their houses and go to different latitudes, and you'll notice that the latitude changes will correspond to the changes of the satellite. And especially at the equator, if you go to the tropical countries near the equator, you'll see their satellites are pointing straight up.
How do we verify for ourselves that they're communicating with satellites, though? How can we verify for
Jesus.
ourselves?
I'm not
Well,
sure,
actually,
but
I think we got an expert on that, Julius.
So we
If I'm
just
correct.
got to take it blind
Excuse me.
faith
Hold
from
on.
people. Okay.
Hank, you
Hold
don't
on,
have
hold on
anything
just a second.
important to say. I'm going to throw that out there now.
Yes, I do. Julius was in the military. Julius, do you know about communications and how sometimes you're on the field, you're deployed, and you lose communications
very,
and then they come back?
very rudimentary. I'm infantry, or was infantry, so that would be more the guys who dealt in the comm shop, S6 they call them. But we know a thing or two because you can't leave the fob. One of the rules is if comms is down, then the mission is over or it's canceled. So communication is very, very important to us. But
Yeah,
again, I have
communication's super.
Hold on, he's still saying. Go ahead, buddy.
again, I have very rudimentary understanding about that. You know me, Hank, I'm more geopolitical. But for this conversation, I'm curious. But there's a guy who just spoke about his father's line of work, where he were it sounds like he was, in the aviation field, or at least he was close to it. You engineer of some sort.
Yeah, compartmentalization.
So when he was talking, he said something that even someone, with limited understanding like me, this is what I always think. You mean to tell me, and look, whoever gets offended, don't take it personally. I don't mean to offend you personally because I don't know anybody.
You're the one
But
sounding
that
offended
guy,
talking about somebody's
hey,
reputation and their
Hold on, he
father.
wasn't finished. Go ahead, Julius. Go ahead.
Jesus Christ. So the guy said, my father used to work building, in this field. Now, when he was explaining it, he said, essentially, he said, so you mean to tell me all the people who are working on these projects, everyone's been duped? And this is where I come down. Because I say, for you to look, you want to believe in a theory or something, fine. But don't get so sensitive where if anybody doesn't believe in your flat earth theory or something, all of a sudden they got to be ostracized. Yet in the same token, you ostracize people who have worked their entire lives in their dreams and everything to do things in the field of engineering and aerospace. And you're saying that all of these people have been duped. They can't tell that they're looking at CGI. They're all playing Xbox games when they're in mission control. That's just asinine, let alone to disregard all the people who have died exploring space for all of humanity. I mean, it's so dismissive. And I got a problem with that.
It is. Yeah.
We've been joined
and
by
also,
Brenda.
I
Sorry to
understand.
interrupt
I
you, Tim.
understand with flat earthers and the whole NASA and satellites thing. It's not the best example, but it is a good example. But there's also other things like the two celestial points in our star trails over the equator that
Real quick,
corroborate what they are telling us.
He made
I
an
just want to
appeal to
introduce
emotion.
Brenda.
He made
Sorry
an
to
appeal
interrupt
to
you guys. Hi,
emotion
Brenda. How you
that we
doing?
shouldn't be critical of people's fathers or reputations. What? That's the same defense of we don't want flat Earth people's feelings hurt, but he's hurt over his father's reputation feelings.
That's a
Sorry to
misrepresentation of what I
interrupt you
said.
guys.
Yeah, it
I'm
was.
really
Yeah.
sorry. I just need to get through this. Can I just say hello to Brenda?
Good afternoon.
Hi, Brenda.
Very pleased.
Thanks
to have
for
you here.
joining us,
Thanks for
Brenda.
being here.
Love
Good
you, Brenda.
afternoon.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. So anyway, yeah. So, dude, you got to study the stars too, man, because it depending on your latitude and longitude, it works with what they're telling us. All of this stuff that they're telling us does work. Okay, then you think about the logic that goes into how everything works, but we are on a flat Earth, and everybody's so stupid and indoctrinated and compartmentalization. It is a good point that could happen, and it does happen. That's how the army.
I hope you are all enjoying this live stream. I'm going to run through a few links as they're all talking over each other as we speak. Oh, let's put the camera on me. So if you've not done so already, be sure to share the link on social media and encourage a few more people to join the live stream. If you are new to this channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon so you can keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a link to Super Chat that runs alongside the show while it is live. And if you would like to join the debate with the page you are currently watching on mute, simply click the link in the info box below this video to join the show and express your views. There are only a couple of rules in the Hangout. Number 1, please do not swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, but you will be warmly welcome back on the next show. Just don't try to rejoin using sock accounts. Once more, if you're new to this channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate.
That will provide, like, for example, cover a whole country's communication needs for a specific type of communication.
Yeah, I think,
like whether it's satellite
black
TV.
budget military budgets.
Well, no,
You need
just
to
listen.
stop interrupting people. Truth. Stop interrupting.
So that would mean that a bunch of engineers have to create a complicated system that's land-based to provide, for example, satellite TV to the whole continent of South America.
You're assuming it's complicated.
Okay.
Oh boy.
But
You're assuming it's
You are.
fake.
You guys make so many assumptions.
Calm down, Truth.
Hold on. That means that someone has to design the system, deploy all the balloons, the weather balloons, maintain those balloons, or however they are able to provide, satellite TV to people that are in the middle of nowhere, all over, South America or something. And yet, all these engineers that design this system, and that do all this work, they don't ever come forward. They're never, bribed into having the juiciest story in the world of how they, fake their satellite
They make too
service.
much money.
And truth. One thing real quickly. Do you think? Hold on. Do you think that we cannot see any satellites from here?
Yes.
Like there's nothing up there?
I don't think we can verify that they're satellites. I see objects that people claim are satellites, but I can't independently verify for myself.
So have you ever seen a moon or sun transit of the ISS before?
I have seen an object that's claimed to be the ISS, which I cannot verify for myself is the ISS.
Okay, I can, I guess, agree with that, but does it look like the ISS? And can you track it?
It looks like a dot in the sky, which is not any more visible than another dot in the sky.
Okay, so you haven't, hold on, you haven't seen what I'm talking about then, buddy, because there's actual...
Mobile bug.
Mobile bug. Hopefully. Wasn't me.
No one's that good at sniping that they can dump like 4 or 5 people in one go.
And they couldn't come back if they'd been sniped.
Yeah.
Lewis doesn't like truth.
Well, that's taking it out of context, but I'm sure you and I can hammer that out later if you really believe that.
Here they
I'm
are.
just saying, I'm betting you probably don't like truth. Welcome back, truth.
Oh, this guy? Yeah, I don't like this guy.
See, I was right again. And you
Well,
said that I couldn't bring any information a while ago.
Tell it like
And
it
I
is,
knew
Lewis.
that, excuse me, I knew that Julius was in the
I said
military.
it wasn't useful.
No, you
He
said that I didn't have any thing to add to the
What?
conversation, and I had knowledge that Julius was in the military.
Oh,
and
how
actually
useful.
I did. So you're wrong twice. It's okay.
Yeah,
Well,
very
Hank,
useful.
Truth constantly interrupts people and talks over them. He's extremely rude and inappropriate.
Well, I don't care if you
Right?
don't like him. I was just
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that
Well,
he's rude.
congratulations
He talks
on
over
being
people.
right about things that don't matter, Hank.
I actually have a theory about that. Like all of those types that this ain't in general to any flat earther, even though I don't believe what they believe. But
I'm
I think
really
when
sorry to
people
do this
that,
to you,
just like
Julius.
they do it
Oh,
in
no.
the things in my strong suit, geopolitical stuff. When people start over talking and being rude and mouthy and all of that type of shit, what it is, it's not that they're stupid. It's not that they're crazy. It's sentiment. I really mean, we're all emotional. So anyone who says take your emotion out of it, you must be a fucking statue. We're all
Please
emotional, but
do
you gotta
not
have your
swear.
emotions in check.
Yep.
It's
Right,
So they're
Julius, I've got to
triggered.
interrupt
They're
you.
triggered.
Right, sorry to
not
interrupt you
even
all.
because I don't even like that
Sorry,
word trigger because that's
Julius,
some
can I
new age
just...
shit that they use to
Julius.
Well,
dismiss things.
it's just the common
Right,
word in
Brenda
use
too.
today
I've
for
got to
somebody who's
interrupt
got
you. I'm
overly
sorry.
emotional.
Can I just introduce our new guest, who is called Flat something or other? Sorry, Flat.
Flat Adam, welcome to the conversation.
Flat Adam.
Hey, guys.
Pleased to have you here.
Triggered is just the new sort of phrase that people use for somebody who is overly over emotional and has allowed their feelings to override their rational thinking.
And on that
Yeah,
note,
it's the new
just to say to Julius,
mad.
there is no swearing. So you've already sweared a couple of times.
no
I've
swearing.
popped you on mute.
I haven't.
Please do not swear. To come back off mute, if you're on a phone, just tap your screen. If you're on a Hangout on the computer, just move your mouse over the page.
Say again.
I was
No
telling you how to
swearing.
unmute. There's
No
just
swearing.
no.
Oh,
Please do not swear.
What, cursing. All right. So I'm well aware of the lingo. Like if anything, I'm a connoisseur when it comes to, salty talk, as you can see. Already been reprimanded. But when I say sentiment, I mean it. Now you look at the denotative meaning of the word, it's more than just emotion. This is what you call being wrong and strong. They don't want it. They understand where you're going. They hear the reason of your rationale. They understand all of that, and they could care less. Now, that's what I actually believe you guys encounter when you hear all that, that stuff that pissed you off.
Yeah, that seems like a good point to me.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's a fact. Sentiment is one of those hidden deceits.
Yeah.
It's how you can have a completely reasonable person act like they're nice, act like they'll use the proper diction, whatever the case is, but inside you got malicious intent. You're dark-hearted.
No,
And that's when you have sentiment get in the way of any reasonable discussion.
I wouldn't call it dark-heartedness. It's just frustration.
Okay.
I am
Well,
dark-hearted.
You got it. That begs to ask, how can you be frustrated if someone tells you, hey, the sky is blue, and you get frustrated with them trying to tell them, no, it's actually pink. Your frustration is not just some random frustration that is allowable. Your frustration comes from your sentiment. You have malicious intent.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, sentiment.
Well,
but
there you
also
have it,
just,
folks.
if you're being taught certain things and you start to lean upon those, you do. Every person leans on their experiences, on how they interacted, who they looked up to. It shapes them. It shapes their subconscious will, as it were. And
Your worldview is developed that way. I hear you,
if
but
something
that
comes along that just tears all of that down, it hurts so much, you just refuse. And eventually, when you get confronted with it, you refuse it so fast that it never enters your consciousness because you don't want to know.
that is a fantastic.
Get over it.
That's a rather fantastic.
Their mind
and
is set. That's how I like to say it.
I am actually in agreement with you. I'm just saying it's a rather fantastical notion to think that it's
an incredible psychological system.
I just think it's a fantastical notion to think, or to wish rather, that often what we come up against with the illogical, the irrational, that is simply that their worldview is challenged. No. Often, especially online these days, what you're encountering is someone who wants to be wrong and strong. And my position is, I don't say that you have to be rude or nasty or even dismiss a person like that. I actually advocate to bring them more out into the open, because you need to see someone being wrong and strong, saying the sky is pink. You need to see someone telling you 1 + 1 is 3 and doing it adamantly. And most important, you need to really accept that this is not a crazy person. This is not someone off their rocker. This is what happens when you have, malicious intent.
I really like what Julius just said. All these things are things I could agree with and stuff. I'd like to see that done more.
So, Flat, what do you have?
Good luck, buddy. Me too.
Well, the conversation would go in a particular direction with Tim here, but he's not going to get back in. So now where do we go?
He's not there, but where did he go?
Well, it's full now. So we're going to.
There's a spot now.
It's just, you know, Tim even made a compliment to me like the last debate. I really appreciated that. I thought like, hey, maybe now he's gonna stop doing that, and now he was just overwhelming. I didn't expect it. I was really disappointed, and that just hurts, you know, because I really want to get along with everyone. It's in my nature to want to make peace, and I get everybody has their frustrations. I have mine.
Well,
all that stuff. So,
in order to, but the thing is that we disagree on some very fundamental issues.
yeah.
And when we bring up the solid evidence that completely refutes your point of view, you get triggered and emotional.
No, not always, but it's
Maybe
just,
not always.
Well, it's
Are
just
you open?
the
Are you open?
assumption
Are you
that
open?
it is the truth. It just sometimes I don't know how to deal with that.
Yeah.
When such a large concept is so far out there, it's
Well,
just I don't know how to reply to that really.
Do you think that there's such a thing as the truth?
Yes.
So there is a way that the world is, and we are able to put into words how the world is.
Well, how we think the world is.
No, how it actually is.
No, we can only do it how we think it is.
Then you don't
How
believe.
we've come to understand it is.
No, not how we come to understand it. How it is.
No,
She's saying,
we
is there
don't know
an
what it
objective? Is there an objective truth to reality? What is
Yeah.
the present master?
Yeah.
We can only base our assumptions on what we've learned and what we've measured and all that
So
stuff.
we fundamentally disagree then, because I believe that there is objective facts of the matter about how the world is, and you do not.
Well, loose elements, yes, definitely. That's how we find out.
I don't
Brenda,
understand.
Brenda,
Yeah,
I just want to know what gives you such
just
confidence.
simple,
that you can discern
loose
the truth?
things, experimental things just.
There's
physics,
two people talking at the
basic.
same time. Loose things. Okay. I don't know what that means, but
I
I can explain. Basically, if the mainstream, gets their funding from the government, and they have quite a bit of funding, they can say things like the Earth is 4.54 billion years old, and they got the funding to back it up, and a lot of people believe them, so it appears to be true. But when you look at reality, the Halley's Comet comes around like once every 80 something years, and it never melts and it never goes away.
your
mic suddenly died.
Your audio was really muffled.
Oh, my apologies.
But I got the general sense, and I don't understand why funding makes something false.
Because
No,
there's
I'd
a
say
lack
it
of
makes-
funding for the truth. That's why.
I think that what makes something true is if it is in fact true. I don't think where a scientist, a group of scientists, a government agency, or a nation gets their funding from has any bearing on the truth claims that they make at all.
You need to
So
read
do you think that
1984 and heed
a
the
flat
lesson.
Earth research group could get funding from the government for their projects? You think that would work?
Do you think Lewis is jumping to get in there? Go ahead. I've been talking for a couple minutes.
If the government funded flat Earth, you would find out with an accelerated rate how vapid and untrue it really is.
Thank you.
Well, start a petition for $52 million a day for 1 year to the flat Earth community, and we can settle this.
And that's almost a little dangerous. That line of what he just said is true. If it was funded, you would find out. But it's almost a little dangerous sorry about that. It's the elevator. It's a little dangerous, that line of thinking that suggests that, hey, if they fund something, therefore, I think what you were trying to say is because they don't fund it, that's why we can't find out that the Earth is flat, this, that, and the other.
Well, look. Sorry, go ahead.
Oftentimes, like right now, we're living in a time when, not to veer off too far, but to keep it more related to what you guys talk when they talk about climate change and just what's happening with the Earth and the environment. We're living in a time where, for the first time ever, officially now, it's becoming government policy because of the Queen's embarrassment that's occupying the White House. the Department of Environmental Protection, I think they're called. All types of money and political schemes are being done to thwart the truth. Not just thwart a truth from today, the truth that we've gathered through research, data, and everything for the past 20, 30 years. You're watching funds be used to negate that. So
Yes.
I agree with whoever that was who said, hey, something is true because it's true.
Well, I
But,
want to, I agree with that, but I want to, get everybody to look in the back chat back there in the group chat. There was ads back in the day that scientists say that smoking mild cigarettes is good for you. I mean, come on, is there really science out that says smoking cigarettes is good for you?
Well,
good point. Good point.
What evidence? Those evidences were cherry picked. We have a record because of the lawsuit that was brought against the smoking companies. They cherry picked scientific data. They cherry picked the scientists. They paid them to lie.
Has men's hearts changed in the past 50 years?
We're talking about science here. You brought up science, a claim that scientific evidence in the past said the smoking was not as harmful. But I'm saying that we know from lawsuits brought against the cigarette companies that they lied. They paid for bad science. They paid for scientists to lie. They cherry-picked scientific studies. They lied.
Well, if you had $52 million a day, could you pay for scientists to lie? I mean, is it a possibility?
So are you admitting then that I'm correct?
What you misrepresented, you said not bad.
Did the cigarette companies lie? Did the cigarette companies
Yes, you're
lie?
correct, Brenda.
Of course.
Thank you. Watch the movie. Thank you for
Yeah,
smoking.
I love that movie. It's a great movie.
Yeah.
Really,
They
really
lied. They
But
lied.
I think the other thing that is going on here is that there was a time when cigarettes were smoked and people didn't realize there was any danger at all.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's correct.
And then you had a situation where, for instance, doctors would recommend, for instance, pregnant women would smoke because cigarettes do have a mild anesthetic effect, I think is what they used to say. So, in that sense, if you have no knowledge that they're bad for you, then you can say that they're good for you. If they have a medicinal effect and you don't know of any, bad side effects, and that, that's just a situation we have to live with, that we start from a position of no knowledge and have to work forwards from there.
People make bad decisions when they have little or no information.
I think it's kind of like doctors prescribing meth. Sorry, I'm not trying to talk over
You get
you.
in trouble when they
Go ahead.
trust the wrong people.
I think it's like doctors prescribing methadone to get people off of heroin when obviously kratom could possibly be better than synthetic
Possibly,
heroin.
but I've had friends who are on methadone because she was addicted to heroin and it saved her life. She was very grateful for it. Not everybody fails in trying to get free of heroin addiction. And she was able to free herself from the addiction to heroin through the use of methadone and following her program.
But then you're addicted to methadone.
Well, no, you're not, because you take yourself off of that a lot slower. It's a program. You have to work your program.
Yeah.
You don't just quit. You don't just quit cold turkey.
And
There's a program underneath a doctor's care that you follow it, and if you follow it, then you can get yourself free of heroin and other drugs. Anybody who's been in Narcoholics Anonymous or AA knows that it's a long process. It's not something you just quit cold turkey.
And also, the advantage of being addicted to methadone over heroin is that you don't have to break the law to get the methadone, and that's
correct.
One of the big problems is that heroin makes people, you have to be a criminal really to have a heroin habit, and if they can convert you to methadone and then wean you off that, then
it's all stupid.
That's preferable.
all drugs should be legalized because there's always going to be addicts, but because it's illegal, these addicts become dangerous. Because
Well, I
don't know.
like it being illegal is not gonna stop them from using it.
I mean,
Well, I
It's
don't know.
ridiculous.
So because alcohol is legal, they're not dangerous.
No, they are. But can you imagine
Okay,
what
all
would
right. So
happen
your
if it
argument
was
already
illegal?
doesn't work.
Remember, in the
I-
20s when it was illegal, how much damage came out of that? It was terrible. So many people died because of
I
drinking
think that
They're still dying.
I'm in
because
favor.
it was illegal.
I'm in favor
He's
of
talking about the prohibition.
I'm in favor of medicalizing drugs, which means if you get caught as a user of drugs, then you go into a medical treatment program where you are
That's what they
helped.
did in Portugal.
Yes, I've
I
seen
can
the
agree with that.
I've seen the Portugal program, and I like that. It seems to work. I'm in favor of
I
that.
agree with that, but there's quite a few people that don't agree with that.
That is true. They
I'll be back.
consider
I'm a
drug abuse to be a
libertarian, so
moral
I'm
failing.
pleased.
I don't think.
Bringing it back to the flat Earth here.
Okay,
I think what
yeah.
Hank was bringing up with the smoking was that look, these corporations lied. They had scientists that said it was okay, but the thing was there was also dissenting scientists at the same period of time. I think the earliest links to lung cancer and smoking was in the 20s, and it had been already theorized in peer review that tobacco products are hazardous for your health. For well during that period of time, there was contradicting viewpoints, and sure, the tobacco industry was able to buy their own research and buy their own scientists to try and get people to buy more cigarettes because people do greedy things, right? But that doesn't mean that there wasn't a whole bunch of people that were also dissenting at the same time.
What do you think's changed now? Why could people have faulty junk science to sell cigarettes back then and not do it to sell a globe today?
Well, we've got much more access to information, so it'd be much harder now to keep that kind of thing going.
I
Compared
think
to
that's exactly
in the
why
20s.
we're having this conversation right now. I agree.
But with regards to the flat Earth, you don't have you're not restricted in access to information because there are things that you can do on your own with simple things that you can either do yourself or afford to do with a group of people that could conclude. You could prove conclusively that the Earth is round.
Let's start listing them because I'm seeing a very lack of evidence for the globe. Each day continues.
Well, I like the one that pops up at the top of every search that I make for live hangouts on Flat Earth, which is the live video feed from the ISS that conclusively refutes the Flat Earth.
Have you ever seen augmented reality videos?
Yes.
Yeah, but here's the thing: you can go out.
I'm just asking. How do you say the ISS was augmented reality? I'm asking if he's ever seen augmented reality videos.
Yeah.
It's very clear.
Yeah, I have.
Okay, all right, cool. So we've seen the same exact. You ever seen like the movie Apollo 13? Man, it looks like they're landing on the moon.
Yes, I have.
Like they're getting close to it.
Yeah.
So
It doesn't
did they?
actually
So
look
did
like
they? That's all I'm asking. Did they do it?
Yeah.
In that
For
movie?
example,
Did they launch up? 250,
So
280,000 miles.
So what is your argument?
Just because you see things that look like it doesn't mean that it's real. This is like talking
Augmented
about Santa
reality
Claus
doesn't look
and the
real.
Tooth Fairy.
Augmented reality looks very fake. It does not look in any way close to reality.
And we could bring up ISS footage of bubbles and stuff that aren't supposed to be there. That doesn't look like reality to me.
They are supposed to be.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing with the ISS. Let's say all the video footage is fake, and we can't trust anything from the inside of the ISS or taken from the outside of the ISS. Let's just simply talk about an object that we can observe and track ourselves from the ground, right? And the thing that you'll notice on the path, and you can call friends all along the path and say, "Hey, do you see this object now? It's just coming into my, just hitting my horizon." They'll say, "Oh yeah, I see it overhead, 1,000 miles away."
We're not denying the object exists. We're not denying the object exists.
But here's the thing: if you track the path of the object because of its 51-degree tilt in its orbital axis compared to the Earth's rotation, you can see it. Someone in Russia can. You keep interrupting me. Someone in Russia can watch it disappear, and a few minutes later, someone in South America will see it on the other side of the Earth because it's going around a sphere. And how would you explain that on the flat Earth map?
If I can just do a quick introduction, we've been joined by Tony. If I could just say a quick hello to Tony. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, how you doing? Thanks a lot.
My pleasure.
What's up, guys?
Thanks for being here.
Hey, thank you.
How would you explain how the ISS? Oh, he's gone now. There he is. Truth, how would you explain why the ISS, someone could track it in Russia and watch it go in the northeast of the horizon, and then someone in South America can watch it come up in the southwest a few minutes later?
We're both talking about the same object in the sky. The issue is you'll believe.
But but how do you explain its path? How do you explain how it goes into the horizon into the northeast in Russia, and then it suddenly shows up in the southwest and South America?
When was this observed?
It does a pass around the Earth every 90 minutes.
But when was this known to be first observed?
Is you're believing that object
the app
in the sky
accurately predicts the location for everyone on Earth.
All I'm asking is how can I verify that the same object we're looking at is actually the ISS? That's all I'm asking. It's very simple.
Well, I have been in a hangout with Robert Shortman, and we were both going over actual NASA declassified documents on how to create holograms manually using lasers and certain gases. It was we reasoned out that in that hangout that this technology, and it's been around for a long time, it's pretty old.
How are they broadcasting a hologram against a sun transit, right? What are they?
You have to look into their documents. I will share them with you if you want.
Yeah, sure. Let's see them.
Okay, I'll give you a link.
And it's going to explain there how they broadcast a hologram that travels 17,000 miles an hour. And
only shows what you can do with it, how it works. That's all.
Here, look, and let me just highlight. We both agree that an object in the sky is there is an object in the sky. The only difference is they'd rather believe baseless claims they can't verify for themselves, where I just want to verify for myself before I believe baseless charlatans.
Well, we know it burns us. We know it burns us, and we know it helps crops grow. So it's obviously something more than just a light.
Well, no, I'm not talking about the sun. I'm talking about the ISS. How can
you're talking the ISS?
Oh, my bad.
Well, they believe the sun is a hologram too, right?
But here's the thing with the ISS. Not only can you track its orbital path, and its orbital path is perfectly in line with it traveling around a sphere. You can observe it with other people. You can observe it at the same time and verify its altitude and speed. And number two, you can look at the live feed and compare it to the weather that you're actually seeing above you, that it's displaying underneath you. And you can make a pretty reasonable assumption that it's not fake. To go and think that it's fake, that it's a hologram, requires a lot more assumptions and leap of faith than to think it's actually real, especially considering how many thousands of people were involved in putting that thing in place. And yet there's not one whistleblower, not one document.
One disgruntled employee. That's all it would take.
Now, I posted the download link in the panel chat. It's private site, so please don't share it. The link with others.
The link is bad.
Yeah, it didn't work.
Oh, wait. Part of it seems to be missing.
Well, you put a couple of, you really messed it up.
Hold on.
So you don't see how unreasonable it is, though, Truth, that think about the hundreds of communication and weather satellites and all the engineers involved in building them, creating their capabilities,
having creating a request for proposal. Engineers. I am one of these engineers, and yes, I'm telling you, we have a major problem.
So you understand that there has to then be. So you understand there has to then be thousands of engineers that are actually making stuff, that this stuff is supposed to do from space, making.
That's an assumption. What led you to claim there must be thousands and thousands of people? That's an assumption.
Okay.
What leads you to claim to say that you're an engineer?
For example, how do we get the weather imagery from satellite imagery? How do we get that if it's not being done with satellites? It's being done with what? A whole array
every news
of
station I've ever lived next to has a giant radar ball, and that's how they get their weather data. Yeah, it's very clear.
No. We're talking about we're talking about satellite imagery. I'm not talking about local precipitation
Yeah,
rate.
Doppler.
all of that Doppler radar images, it looks just like the radar. I'm not convinced it's coming from outer space. I'm sorry. I'm
Okay.
It's
What
not
about-
coming from outer space. Doppler radar is not what we're talking about.
Yeah, we're talking about satellite imagery.
Okay, high altitude planes. I mean, there's a lot of ways.
Okay, so you're talking about an array of planes or balloons, people that have to go and launch them or fly them, and then people that write the algorithms to stitch it all together to make it look like one continuous picture. That's
Again,
done
you're asserting way too many assumptions. You're assuming it takes this many people. You're assuming it takes this level of conversion.
Well, because you haven't outlined an alternative at all.
Yes, I have.
Right.
Human mentality. They're like sheep. They like to follow the leader, and they follow a herd mentality. They're
Wait, so wait a minute, Truth. Hold on, one second. Truth, did you say you were an engineer?
Yes.
Okay, so then you're familiar with calculus. I could ask you a very simple calculus question that anyone would know, and you'd know how to answer.
No, I don't dwell in
it.
mathematics that have no relation to physical.
Wait, but every engineer has to go through calculus. I was actually going to be an engineer, and I went through almost all the prereqs for that, and I changed my major slightly at the end. But so
Right,
you would have gone through Calc 1, Calc 2,
Calc
Calc 3, differential equations. Okay, so you never took calculus, but you're an engineer. Is that what you were claiming?
I took business calc because in my undergrad I was.
No. I don't mean business calc. I mean Calc 1, 2, and 3, differential equations. Did you take any of that stuff?
Yeah, I took Calc 1. Yes.
Oh, you took Calc 1?
You would take Calc 2 to be an engineer. You would take calculus, physics, statistics, a whole range, chemistry. You'd get at the very least a BS in the sciences.
Okay. Well, if you took Calc 1, I can ask you a Calc 1 question. You think you'd be able to answer it? Really simple one.
Look, you're just attempting. No, look, listen. I know what you're doing. You can't beat my argument.
Well, you made a claim that you're an engineer. You made a claim that you're an engineer, and I want to find out if you really were.
No, we were talking about this. Ain't an engineering debate. This isn't an engineering debate. This is
okay.
This is deciding whether or not you're a liar or not.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out how truthful you're being.
We're trying to determine your character, honesty, and integrity.
No, you're not. You don't have any argument to stand on, so you constantly.
Well, you claim to be an engineer. You claim to be an engineer, and they're going to probe at the qualifications required to be an engineer.
Shut the fuck up, Louis. Shut up. All I'm asking.
It's okay, Truth. Just answer it.
No swearing,
I want
please.
People to trust me. I want zero credibility. I want you guys to actually research this stuff for yourself. I don't need credibility. The truth is the truth, and it stands on its own.
Why are you on the debate then?
It doesn't need a bunch of spineless people to defend it.
Well, you said as a point of contention, you said
that sounds exactly like.
I'm an engineer, and I know that you can do X. You said I'm an engineer, and I know that you can do X. So I want to find out. Well, if you're going to use that as a point, are you really an engineer? So that we know whether to believe you or not.
And I don't need to answer your baiting qualifier questions to prove it. I don't care about your.
Well, it's like the simplest question ever.
No,
for anyone that has any kind of a science, physics, or engineering background, anyone with a STEM degree would easily be able to answer this.
Through hoops to anonymous people. All I want to talk about is the facts at hand, which stand
So why
on
are
their
you
own.
Here?
Because the facts that I'm bringing up stand on their own, and they don't need to be.
You haven't brought up
your lousy
anything.
lifestyle.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is what I call sentiment. This is on display. This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Look,
I'm just really excited to be here.
I can barely even hear you, Truth.
You guys want to change the topic into my credibility because you guys can't prove the shape of the Earth is a globe. So you guys will devolve it into off-track discussions because that makes you look like you're doing something.
Do you want to retract the claim that you're an engineer?
No, I will show you. I'm working right now, 54 an hour.
Where at?
I just got
Show
done.
us. Show
Imperial County. I'm going through a border checkpoint right now. Here, look. Here.
Just ask your question, epistemology.
You want to see my There's my nuclear density.
Yeah, he's not going to answer, so there's no point.
There's my nuclear density gauge in the back of my truck. You see it?
Oh, that's a really clear picture. I can see it so well. Thanks.
Hold on. I'm going through Border Patrol. Hold on.
Just focus on Border Patrol, bud.
Lewis, I got experience with this. In my line of work, infantry type, 3.3 kilo, we got a bad wave of what they call stolen valor. Now, I won't say an engineer has stolen valor or something, but when you have somebody who studies their whole life to become an expert, a subject matter expert like an engineer or something, when you have someone who disrespects that, just like in our line of work or anything else, the lack of integrity is proof of the sentiment that I was talking about.
Truth doesn't care about.
I was going to say the same thing.
I was going to say, Julius, it's
The truth doesn't care whose feelings it hurts and whose little pride is butthurt.
The truth likes to be verified, though. We like to verify it's coming from a good place.
You sound like you're in your feelings right now.
Julius, it's like the equivalent of someone saying they're in the Army, and then I ask them what their MOS was, and they don't know what an MOS is.
Someone mute me, please.
It's the equivalent of a random guy on the internet trying to. That's
breaking up.
Yeah, it's understandable.
No, Nathan.
In a truck.
I just want to ask Nathan a question. Is this a prove my credibility debate, or is this a discuss the shape of the Earth debate?
It's all up to you.
The topics.
Yeah, you always bring up your engineering thing, so it'd be nice to verify.
I bring it up, but I don't want any credibility from it. I bring it
then
up.
don't say
why
it anymore.
Bring it up? So why don't you bring it up and say, hey, why did you say then I'm an engineer and trust me, this, da-da-da-da-da?
I'm a human and I'm in a debate, so sometimes I might fall back to things I'd say to normal people that aren't shills. But I know you guys will do anything to derail.
What happens if a normal person, like, for example, right here on this panel, we're all normal people, and we're confronting you about that claim?
No, because when I have these talks with normal people, they listen. They change opinions.
We're listening to you right now.
You guys are stagnant.
No, they don't listen because they don't have the background to question you.
No, most people that I talk to have a lot of common sense and can
epistemology for truth here has a background that he would like to, he's trying to use that to corroborate your claim. A normal person that you would talk to, I'll wait for him to come back.
Yeah, he was in a truck and all that stuff, so it's almost miraculous that he can get a connection at all.
So a normal person that you might talk to, you can judge them. You can determine them generally just by looking at them without ever speaking to them, and likely how much lying you're going to be able to get away with. And since determining your credibility is the subject of questioning you in the first place.
You certainly can assume a lot. I don't know how you determine that just by meeting people. One time.
Well, when you see somebody, you can assume a lot more. You can assume a lot more about somebody when you're actually there in real life with them.
Okay, you're making assumptions. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Okay.
Been joined by David. Very pleased to have you here, David. Could you say a quick hello?
I think we should just safely say he's not an engineer and move on.
No, I don't need the credit. I am an engineer. I'm making double.
That's fine. So stop worrying about it. Don't worry about it. You don't need the credibility. Don't worry about it. Okay.
So then let's debate the topics at hand instead of derailing it, which is all the shills can do.
So when are you going to give an argument for your position?
Here's the argument. The Earth is motionless and stationary. Horizon observation suggests we're on something much larger with likely more oceans and continents. And you guys would rather sit here and lick your master's boots than go manifest destiny on new continents.
That's a claim, not an argument. Do you know what an argument is? An argument
is to be made.
No. An argument is a series of premises followed by conclusion. They need to be structurally sound, logically sound, and constitute a sound argument.
The Earth is stationary.
So you need premises. That's
a claim.
That's an assumption or a claim.
Big shout out to Scooby-Doo. Thanks a million.
It's
a series. Argument. It's just one you're not willing to.
It's not an argument at all.
It is an argument. No,
it's not.
Arguing that it's a sphere, and I'm arguing that it's not. That's an argument. You're arguing.
No, you're claiming.
I'm arguing it's not.
You're claiming it's flat. The Earth is stationary.
You're claiming it's a sphere. What's the difference? I would love.
Our claims have supporting arguments to go around them,
and
you have not. We already know that you think the Earth is flat and stationary. We already know that. Hold on.
Can I interrupt for
one second? Have a bunch of paid propaganda behind it.
One second.
You guys like propaganda, I get it, and you like Charlotte. Baseless
Come on, Truth. Hold on. Come on, guys. Look, Truth can just start explaining how he came to the conclusion he believes in flat Earth, but you gotta not interrupt because this is why flat Earthers tend to avoid talking about this.
I have not been interrupting him.
I'm just saying that we're used to that happening, and that's why we tend to avoid it.
Sorry.
So, Truth, just share with us how you came to the conclusion that the Earth was flat, and from there on, and just take your time.
Yes. So I've already shared this shortly. I was sharing truths of other topics for many years. as many in here have claimed, flat Earth. I thought it was a psyop to discredit people that were actually doing the hard work of being a diligent citizen and uncovering their, murderous government. So I assumed that was just a way to discredit me. So I ignored it for years. I saw flat Earth stuff for years, and I was like, this is the most stupid thing I have ever heard. I grew up loving space. I did the whole that whole little thing at NASA, the space camp. I did all that shit. I was indoctrinated. Okay, I loved it. I loved every second of it. So it was in my fabric to never even question it. Then one day it just overcame me. I was like, you know what? I've tried to debunk everything else. Let me just try to prove the globe. I was like, let's just look. I didn't try to prove flat Earth. I was just trying to prove the globe. And within about 2 hours, I was shitting myself because I'm a pretty intelligent person and I couldn't believe I didn't question these things earlier.
So you don't have an argument.
Yes, I have an argument.
Okay.
I realize we're not
because
finished.
that was an autobiography, not an argument.
Yeah, okay, it was
Okay,
a precursor.
so
So,
I
what
realized
exactly happened when you shit yourself? Not literally, but
Okay.
What
So
is
I
your
realized-
argument?
how did you discover that the assumptions that you started
Okay,
out with, that
I
it's a
Googled-
globe, how did you came to the conclusion that it was all wrong? What
I
happened?
Google searched best evidences for a globe. And the
Alright.
two top evidences are the eclipse shadows and ships going over the horizon, which are some of the easiest things to logically question and debunk. Because the shadow logic says that only spheres can make circular shadows, and that's a faulty statement because I can make circular shadows with many things that aren't spheres. So that was
Okay,
the
what
number
is the
one in
shadow of the
grade.
moon?
Number
then,
number
sir?
two
Okay.
was realizing
Oh.
there's no motion. There's no motion. It's not there.
And how do you figure that out? Because I've
I
learned
looked
that
up the examples.
you can
I
feel
looked
the
up the
motion
examples.
basically because you're
Here,
part of it.
I'll tell you how I looked it up. I looked up the examples which tried to explain why we never can see it. And then I conceptualized that explanation isn't correct. Because if you use their same analogies and you hover a drone above a moving object, forward motion must be observed if the object is in motion.
Wait, but we
Something
talked
that
about
is
that in
never
an
observed
airplane.
on the Earth.
We never solved that. So let's go back to that discussion. We talked about how flying a micro drone in an airplane or in a train or in a bus, that it would fly just if it's going the same steady
I'm not
speed.
talking about flying inside of them.
This
I'm
is just
talking about
elementary
hovering above
physics.
them.
This is
So
like
why would it be right? It's elementary physics,
Why
which
are we
again
repeating
brings
this thing
question
again?
to your.
I got a question. Is the Earth
Because
a closed
he
system?
keeps making this claim about the drone. He keeps
Yes.
making this claim about the drone, but he won't go into the conversation about it.
So the Earth is a closed system like the airplane?
what do you mean?
In a
What do
way,
you
it
mean
is, yeah.
closed? What do you mean
You know,
closed?
nothing
It's
goes
Like
in.
enclosed,
No matter
not
goes in
closed.
and out.
Well, something has to keep up the
Enclosed. In a
pressure no
way-
matter
in a
what.
way, yes, it's enclosed. But what's that,
It-
Arwen?
Something has to keep up the air pressure no matter what.
It's called
try
gravity.
using a
Gravity.
vacuum with an
Yeah,
open
that's what
bag.
No,
Erwin,
gravity doesn't keep the air pressure in a plane.
Does the air pressure go down as you get higher in altitude? Is there a pressure gradient?
There is a
Erwin.
pressure gradient.
Erwin, is
Right.
there a pressure gradient? Yes or no?
Gradient, but yeah, I
Does the pressure of the air go down as you get higher? Like, is the pressure on Mount Everest lower than it is at
Yes.
sea level? It is. You have an explanation for why that air pressure is getting lower and lower.
Yeah, because
Densities.
buoyancy.
What's the explanation? Okay, density
Density.
buoyancy. Sure. Okay, let's call it density buoyancy. Whatever you want to call gravity, it's fine with me. Do you think that if we plot a curve of how the pressure changes with altitude, that it would start asymptoting towards zero?
No.
Oh no! So you say that it would go and it would drop, and you go higher and it will drop, and you go higher and it will drop, but at some point it won't drop any further. Is that what you're?
No, it's like a half-life time. The higher you go up, the
right,
bigger
exactly.
the
And the
area
half-life
will be,
asymptotes to zero.
but it's never
and the
going to get
half-life
to zero.
asymptotes to zero.
It's
That's what
virtually
an
impossible.
asymptote is, Arwen.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I misunderstood it then. Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah.
But there's never
Because
there's
even
no vacuum
in
out there.
deep interstellar space, even in the deepest of the deep of interstellar space, there are a few hydrogen molecules floating around, essentially an atmosphere, right? That's what we say it asymptotes towards zero. Okay, so what is your? So if you agree with me on that, so then are you retracting your claim about where is the container to hold back the atmosphere? Are you retracting that now?
No.
Wait. But you just agreed with me that as you go up higher in altitude,
He didn't
the
agree
pressure
there
gets
was a
lower and
container.
lower.
And try using your vacuum with the middle bag open. It
Okay,
doesn't
can you
work.
please stop, Truth? I'm having a conversation with Erwin right now.
No,
we're all
I'm
having a
basically
debate. We're all
shifting the
having a discussion.
mechanism.
It's a
That's
group.
what I'm doing.
Oh, wait, but Erwin, you agreed with me that it's like the half-life, in that the higher up you go, the lower the pressure gets, just like in the half-life of a
Possibly, yes.
radioisotope.
In the rectangular looping
Yeah, you
model,
agree
that
that.
could work.
Hey,
Wait,
if
no,
you
but
put a
you
big
But it
conceded.
hole,
only works in a confined space because the gravity is not
Oh,
caused
can
by
you show me a
gravitational
confined
pull.
space? Can you show me a confined space with a gas that has a pressure differential within it? A pressure gradient?
Yes, I think that in a confined space, if you, for example, cool it, then eventually it will divide, if I'm correct.
No, gas will expand and fill its container.
No, but if it's cooled, then it will.
Man, it's like an air compressor. Y'all know how an air compressor works. You know how thick the steel has to be on something for it to be able to hold a lot of pressure in.
Okay.
But even inside of an air
Do you
compressor,
realize that the only
Even
thing that
inside-
holds pressure,
Erwin, you
3,000
conceded.
pounds of pressure inside of a steel container.
We realize that, but it's totally irrelevant.
Hold on a second.
Here's
Hold on a second.
the
Erwin,
beans for
Erwin.
the point.
Yeah,
Erwin,
we don't know.
Erwin.
They ain't got
Air-
nothing thick
air is
enough.
still
They ain't
matter.
got enough power to go up that high with
Here-
something that thick. It
Here's
would take that
David
much
to
pressure.
destroy every conversation there is.
Erwin,
It's like a
Erwin,
submarine. A submarine's made
David,
out of
come
steel.
on.
Erwin, when you're at cruising altitude in a jet plane, and there's a breach in the cabin, what happens?
Yeah, you
What
get
happens when
decompression,
you get-
serious.
You
But
get decompression.
it's
Okay.
artificially
Did that
pressurized.
plane at any point fly through some type of a barrier or a shield to retain the pressure of sea level?
What?
Did the plane at any point ever cross a dome or a barrier or a shield to contain the
it
air pressure?
No.
produces its own
I'm not
barrier
saying
in an
I'm not
So
airtight
how is it?
cylinder.
that
So
there
how
is
is it?
definitely
So how
a
is it?
dome.
Explain to me then. So how is it that in the airplane, how is it then that in the airplane you can have this pressure differential from the outside and the inside, but the plane never crosses through a dome to retain that pressure differential?
Because the plane is its own pressure vessel.
No.
It's a
Talk
pressurized
about-
I don't know. It's a
question.
very strange
sounds right
question.
to
I'm
me.
not assuming that it would ever go through some kind of dome.
Okay, so
It's
why do you
ridiculous.
assume that there needs
It's
to be
a
a dome in
spectrum.
space to
Pressure
hold the
is like a
pressure of the
spectrum.
Earth when there's no dome? There's no dome between the airplane's altitude and sea level to retain the
The
pressure of sea
airplane
level.
is the container, sir.
It can
The
only
airplane
go so
is the
high,
container.
man.
We're not talking about the
We're
airplane.
not talking about the airplane.
Yeah,
We're
you
talking
are.
about
They
No,
ain't
No,
going
we're
no
not.
million miles out into space, all right? They ain't
lost
going
it.
out a million miles out into space.
We're
Nobody believes
talking.
that.
We're talking about how gas fills a container that is closed, that's
How-
pressurized,
How far
and
into
it does
space do you
not.
think they've
It does
been?
The
not
plane
stratify.
cabin, the
David.
They've been to the moon,
fuselage
so
Yeah,
what
but that's
about it?
because of the molecule type.
The density and buoyancy of a gas in a container does not cause it to stratify. It fills the container and maintains an equal pressure. So why does it do that in the
That's not
atmosphere?
exactly true, really. If
You only have to
is.
do that if
take
there's a human
Can I
inside.
please explain?
I
If
don't know
you
what
take
you-
a very
it's
large
only-
tanker, David,
Whatever.
if you take a very large tanker and you pour a freezing liquid in it, then at the bottom,
Then it's not a gas.
yeah, but it will gasify, and eventually
And that gas will cause an equivalent pressure where it is gas.
part of it will be gas, and the other part will stay liquid.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
well,
the rules of
Yeah, so
pressure in
there's
the
it's a
atmosphere only
difference.
apply to with gases. So why isn't there a stratification comparable in ratios to the atmosphere?
If you
there
take
is an
different
enclosure,
gases, if you take different gases type, and the pressure is not that strong, then it will divide, and the lighter gases will go on top, and the heavier gases will go at the bottom because of buoyancy. And the same works in the open atmosphere. It's usually when tankers are under very high.
I'm going to do one last link. Hope you're all enjoying the show. There is probably about 10 minutes left on this broadcast. You've got to be pretty quick on the trigger if you want to get in, because it's been pretty much a full house all evening. If indeed you are new to this channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon. And in saying that, at least 50% of the people watching this video right now are not subscribed, so be sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a link to Super Chat that runs alongside the show while it is live, and if you would like to join the show, there is a link below this video. With the page that you are currently watching on mute, simply click on that link to join the show and express your views on the shape of the Earth. There are only a couple of rules. Number 1, please do not swear, and number 2, if you are ejected for swearing, please do not try to rejoin using sock accounts. You will be welcome back on the next stream. If you've not done so already, please share the show on social media. I will come back one more time just to thank the audience for being here and thank the panel for debating. So with that, I'll transition back to the action. I'll see you again in 5 or 10 minutes time.
A spaceship's like a big truck. You can only go so far. You got to have fuel. You know what I'm saying? You got to have all your supplies with you. That's what you don't understand. It doesn't matter what the pressure is. If you're on the inside, you got to have a habitat you can stay in. Doesn't that make sense?
I don't think there's been any spacecraft launch without fuel or supplies.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I don't know what the point is.
Well, spacecraft should be incredibly strong tankers, indeed.
Well, that's what they say they're shooting into outer space is big
trucks.
Spacecraft. Big truck.
Fraction of a submarine. The pressure differential between the inside and the outside of a spacecraft is nothing compared to the pressure differential for a deep sea sub.
What's the length on the fuel tanks on them things? What's the length of the fuel tanks?
You can patch a hole from the inside of a spaceship that's the size of your fist with a few layers of duct tape. That's not a joke.
Louis, how have you proven that yourself?
I can show you a video of it being done.
All you need is a 14 PSI pressure. All you need is a 14.7 PSI pressure differential.
Wow.
And you can test it for yourself. All you need is create a 14.7 PSI pressure.
That's where friction stops at, right? That's this magical point where friction stops at. Is that right?
Look, and you can land on the moon with some gold foil and curtain rods.
I'd love to know where you guys get this curtain rods idea from.
Yeah,
I don't. They have some badass jets.
You look at the picture and you can see their flimsy curtain rods and gold foil.
It's like the stealth bomber. Stealth bomber.
Baseless conjecture, but
they need to be lightweight.
Please look at the picture.
Look, guys, if 3 people keep talking to each other, it's going to be
stealth bombers are flying level.
I just posted a picture
on the surface of the moon.
Truth, it does actually. That's what.
No, it doesn't. No, it actually doesn't.
Yes,
we need somebody in a stealth bomber to get a level and film it for about 30 minutes.
I can prove it to you if you like. I know.
But you just need to roll the duct tape and you can fix any hole in the spacecraft. Someone's been playing too many video games.
Stealth bomber pilot to send us a video.
David, I'm talking. I know the exact video that the photograph that you're talking about. I know how you guys have misconstrued it, and I can show you how you just believed what you were told and didn't bother to check.
Just like you
didn't even bother to check to the point of looking for the actual photograph and seeing everything that's in it, because the photograph that
we don't care for NASA composite images.
Well, you've just presented a photograph as evidence of something. It's your argument.
I have right now screen sharing the end of a video where there's a vacuum chamber and this guy is covering a hole with a few layers of duct tape, and this hole is big enough to fit your hand in.
Oh, on the outside. Wow. Okay.
Well, that's where the vacuum is going to to be on the inside.
Yeah. No, I thought you meant like on the inside.
How is this analogous to outer space?
Because he can create an equal pressure differential.
How have you independently verified what pressure is up there? I don't get. You just start with.
Wow, you're not an engineer.
You start with assumption. No, I am an engineer.
You can't be an engineer. I know what maybe a soil engineer.
You're assuming that you know, Louis, the pressure of space. And
just keep watching. Keep watching, kiddo.
Okay, but
this is I'll keep watching your propaganda.
Confined vacuum space. So
this is completely equivalent. They have a gauge there. This is what the gauge is for.
Louis,
this is what the gauge is for.
Pretty incredible.
How have you even verified there's pressure in space, Louis? Louis, how have you verified there's pressure in space?
You can make a reasonable assumption based on the fact that the pressure goes down with altitude. And the
just
higher
funny.
you go,
All
the
of your
lower the
arguments are
pressure
based on
gets.
assumptions and based
Look,
on claims.
Look at
You have
that.
so
That's a
many
massive
assumptions.
hole. That's a massive hole. And the
May I
pressure
say
gauge
something?
doesn't move until he pops it.
So
May I
how
say
did he
something?
know when to stop turning the pressure up to match space? And how did
Wow.
he independently
All he did is
verify
pull a
that
vacuum in the
pressure
chamber.
matches what's in
Oh my
space?
God. You guys, you have no idea. You have no idea.
Okay, you said that you assume that it
Exactly.
keeps
Yeah.
going
Don't
up
sound
higher.
like
I
an
like
engineer,
the
True.
answer.
I like what
Don't
the other
sound
guy
like an
said.
Well, thanks
engineer
for
at
sharing
all.
that, Lewis.
Y'all
I
are
like what
kidding,
the,
right?
No
I
problem.
like what the other guy said. This is just sentiment. That this is
May I
willful,
speak?
basically willful ignorance.
May I say
Well, that
something?
was a very interesting thing to see, just for the theoretics of it, even. So
Yeah,
Could
yeah, it is. This is an
could I
amazing
show Neil on?
But
theoretic
all we
thing.
need
All
to
you
know,
14
didn't know
PSI
the
is
duct
not
tape
very
was that
much.
strong, really.
what the
Yeah,
pressure in space
yeah, it is.
How do you verify
I
for
got a big
yourself
roll.
what the pressure in space is? That's all we need to know.
Well,
Truth,
you could launch a high altitude
you need to
balloon
know an awful lot
and
more
see how
things.
much the pressure changes along its elevation
No,
and make a
but
pretty
how do we
decent
know the
assumption.
value of the pressure in space? How do we know
With
the
a
value?
They
gauge.
How do we
don't.
verify
With a
it
They
gauge.
don't.
ourselves?
They don't know.
With a
How do we know
gauge.
the Earth is a ball? How do we know that?
We've been
All right.
joined by
Okay,
Channel
earlier
Q.
someone
Sorry to
said
interrupt
that
your.
it gets less atmosphere the more you go up.
Sorry,
So
Hank.
eventually,
I just
sorry,
want to
Nathan.
introduce Channel Q. We've only got a few minutes left.
Welcome,
Already been on.
channel, whatever your name is.
Hi,
Channel
guys.
Q.
Thanks.
How you doing?
Thanks for letting me speak, guys. I
Hello.
appreciate it. Okay, so you said that you assume because the pressure gradient, there's less atmosphere the higher you go up. Well, it also gets colder the higher you go up, and then it turns into the thermosphere, which reaches temperatures of like 3,800 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's
Can
not
we?
really, knowing, right? That's just assuming.
No,
Yeah.
it is
Can we bring
knowing.
it back? Can we bring it back to what we know? I just want to know how we independently verify the pressure of space. That's all I need to
Telemetry.
know.
It's all about the fuel,
Telemetry.
guys. You got to have so much fuel to go. You can only go so far.
Thank you, David.
Answer the phone, David.
Yeah.
Louis,
Can I show you a
telemetry
quick picture of Neil
Louis,
Armstrong's
how does
boot?
telemetry data tell us the actual pressure of space? I'd love to
Well,
know.
if you know how to read telemetry, then
No,
that's
I'm
how.
asking what methodology did you use in telemetry data to gather that?
You can use a pressure gradient. You can use tools
No,
that measure pressure
that's not
differences.
answering my question. I'm
Yes, it
asking how
is.
you
Yes, it is.
how,
Yes, it is
how
answering
you
your question.
specifically came to a value of what the vacuum of space is.
You use a gauge to measure the pressure difference.
So you've been in space with a gauge.
No, but gauges have been in space, and I've seen
all
them
of your
while they were in
information is coming
space.
See, Lewis,
secondhand.
Lewis, you
All of
can't
your
know
information-
anything unless you do it yourself.
all
Yeah,
of
I
your
know.
facts
I
and-
know.
so
That's
all of your
exactly how
facts and
truth works.
assumptions
I know.
Are coming second hand.
Truth.
Okay, all of your facts and assumptions are
I
coming
have a
second
question
hand.
for
Just wanna make
Truth.
sure.
Truth. Can I know
Yeah,
the temperature? Can I know the temperature of the sun without physically going to the sun?
No, you can't. Because have you ever been
All
there
right.
to verify it?
Why do I have to go there to verify?
I'm
it?
just asking. Okay, if you.
I'm
claim to
asking
know the
you.
No, I'm asking you. If you claim to know the temperature, was it firsthand or secondhand knowledge? That's all.
No,
If it's
I'm asking
secondhand,
you.
We really
I'm
gotta
asking you a
scrutinize these assumptions.
hypothetical. Can I know the temperature of the sun without physically going to the sun to measure it?
Of course not.
Why? What is your argument for why I can't do
Is
that?
any instrument here's my argument: is any instrument that humans have ever made 100% .00 accurate? That's all. That's my argument. Is
That's
any
not
instrument you've ever made
relevant to the
100%
question.
accurate?
How
The
come we've
question
never seen them
was-
film a thermometer
question-
outside of a spaceship? You ever
the
seen them
question
take a
was-
thermometer?
Have you ever read a scientific paper that has a
The
plus
question
or minus?
was,
That's
can
because
I
the
can I
instruments
measure
aren't
the
precise.
temperature of the sun? Can I measure the temperature of the sun without physically going to the sun?
About
Do they
60
have
seconds to
do they
answer.
have
Any
laser
instrument that
thermometers?
Any
I think they got
any
laser thermometers.
instrumentation
I'd say
that have
yes
come
because
from
you
human
don't
hands is
get in the
imperfect.
oven to find out what temperature the oven is. You rely on the thermometer in the oven
Yeah,
to tell
but
you
every device
how
that's
hot
used
the
to
oven
measure
is.
isn't- it has
And
a
also,
certainty level.
I'm confused
It has a
because I
plus
can't
or minus
independently
certainty level.
verify whether or
And
not
it's very
Truth is an
clear.
engineer, but somehow I have to take
Every
that
tool
on
instrument used to
Truth, can you
measure
fact.
that humans have made
Can you
isn't entirely
please?
precise.
Did you hear me, Truth? Because I was kind of talking to you. I can't independently
okay, all I
verify that
know-
you're an engineer. I
He's
can't
too busy.
independently verify that, so therefore it's not a fact.
I don't need you to, and I've never asked you to.
All right,
That's
then
true.
we don't
Just
need
go
then
sit
we
back
don't need
down.
you here at all.
Could you answer my question though, please? Please answer
Yeah.
my
Around out
question.
the show.
My question is, you could never measure the temperature because any device you're using to measure with isn't 100% accurate. It's clear that
And with that, I'm going to say a massive, huge, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for joining us on this debate. Also, a big shout out to Scooby-Doo for supporting me with the super chat. And last but not least, a massive thank you for the debating panel for making this debate possible in the first instance. Be sure to like, comment, share and subscribe. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.